so in this episode, we're digging into the characteristics of the following models: the CIOG Flyer, the Lost Subdriver 3 Swallow, the Pyzel Red Tiger, the DHD Nexus, the Sharpeye Inferno, and the Xero Gravity. That was quite a mouthful when I got through it. I'm pretty proud of myself for that one. They're all considered like they're probably the most popular boards that we sell in the store, just as your everyday sort of board. So we're going to go through it now with the boys. We've got Dayyan. As you know, what people often, a few of the requests from last time were we didn't actually categorise how big the boys are, how much they weigh and everything, which is a touchy subject.
Did he look at you and he said,
I didn't mean to say that, like, well, no, he said that, no, they're not the size. He just, okay, getting into it. So, J-Lo, he reckons he's 6 foot, he's about 5'11" and a half. And he's 78 to 80 kilos. Dayyan's 5'9" and a half, yeah, and 90 kilos.
The Subdriver 3.0 by Lost Surfboards has a medium entry and tail rocker, combined with a single to double concave and an aggressive V out of the tail. The wide point of the Subdriver 3.0 is set back and pulls in aggressively into a swallowtail, creating a lot of curve in the rail line through the tail of the board. The swallowtail is designed to give the board drive and hold, while the exaggerated tail curve and V helps free up the board, helping make tighter wraps and rail-to-rail transitions in the small stuff easier.
Over 3, mate, I was frothing to ride this one. When I rode it, felt super fast, but it felt like it was on train tracks, like it was super drivey and super sharp, but I just didn't feel like it had the right kind of freedom when I came off the bottom and wanted to loosen it up through the lip. In saying that, when I did hit it in the right spot, the turn felt amazing. Yeah. So it was one of those things where it's kind of like, it's going to have heaps of drive, it's going to push you through turns, but you might be doing the turn in a spot that you didn't expect.
Right.
So it's unpredictable, but that's kind of fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
sharp and fast.
Okay, cool.
And unpredictable.
All right. Yeah, for the most part, I agree with Dayyan. I definitely, out of the 6 boards that we trialled in this test, it was definitely the driviest of them. I generally don't ride a lot of boards with V, and I was expecting it to be super loose. With the help of Swallowtail, it actually had a lot of drive. I would say that it was, had a lot of hold. And to that point, Dayyan talking about train tracks, I think it really worked in steep sections of the wave. So I had a bit of a love-hate relationship with this board. When the waves were steep, I found that it had heaps of release. You don't like to be surf vertical. And then other times when it was a little bit slopier, softer, I found that it did a few unpredictable things and it wasn't as forgiving on the rail as some of the other boards that we tested, but definitely probably had some of my best surfs on this board.
Dolph, what fins did you choose to ride in this model?
So in this one and all of the models, I had the Almeric Extra Large. Now, you guys might not have heard of this one yet because I've been using the large Almerics, but as I got heavier, I went to the Carver Extra Larges with an Almeric back fin.
Yeah.
And now they're coming out with the Almeric Extra Large, so it's a slightly bigger fin.
Yeah.
And that's got a lot of drive and hold for the big boys.
The DHD Nexus has a medium entry rocker with a low exit rocker and a fuller rail than the other boards tested, designed to make it forgiving when the waves are small and you're turning with less speed. The model has a fuller outline above the front foot compared to the other models in the test and holds that fuller outline until a hip above the fins helps pull the tail in. The Nexus features a single concave under the front foot and a subtle double through the tail.
This one, I actually caught a couple of really bad waves. We actually struggled to get out back on this day.
This was the day.
Yeah, and
there was at least 3 foot out there. But
and the waves were so hard to surf
rips
that I was basically falling over, like tripping up on myself on each wave. But right at the end, I got 2 good lefts with 2 good cracks. And what I felt on those ones was just this real nice, comfortable stability of this board. When I came off the bottom, it just felt really stable. and real certain. Like I just knew that it was going to hold me and take me where I wanted to go. And when I went up and released it off the lip, it just felt like it felt on the money.
Yeah, cool.
Just real sharp,
Yeah.
real pure.
Good.
I actually really like this board.
Good in the waves we get.
Yeah.
The first time I rode this board, I found it was that day that was, say, let's call it solid 3 foot, and
Maybe 4.
oh, hell. Anyway, once we finally got out the back, I actually found that this board was a little bit too loose, and it was definitely, these boards are all shorter than I am in height, and as a result, I lack a little, they lack a little bit of drive from what I would normally ride. So I found this one really loose. But then after testing it, after that day, riding it in smaller waves that I would usually ride a 510 in, I found that the board was really, really good, super forgiving. And, for me that normally rides a 6.0, this one definitely served a huge, a purpose in my quiver. I would ride this thing, over and over again in the right conditions, being like 2 foot and under. It didn't have the same wave range as some of the other boards that we tested, but if you have multiple boards in your quiver, I think this one served its purpose as a step down really well. Really forgiving, really loose, really easy to surf.
Cool.
I really liked it.
The Red Tiger by Pyzel Surfboards has a medium rocker in line with the majority of the other boards in the test. It features a slightly fuller outline with a hip in the tail to pull it in and help with rail-to-rail transitions, while the break in the rail line created from the hip helps with release in the smaller waves. Similar to a lot of the models that John Pyzel designs for John Florence, the Red Tiger has a deep and aggressive concave, which really separates it from the other models designed for similar waves by the other brands. The double concave commences earlier and is far deeper than any of the other double concaves in the other boards tested. The double concave combines with an aggressive V at the rear of the board.
Okay, I was really excited to surf this, and because it just looked really nice. On the waves that I got, it was a little bit lackluster, and I don't know if that's because of the way that I surf the board, but it just didn't suit my surfing, didn't suit my style, and I would never ride another one again. Personally, yeah, I just won't go there. But in saying that, I've got other Pyzels like the Goes, and I've got the other Pyzel plus the step up one I've got. The Padlock, love them.
Yeah,
This one, I'm not going to try it
it's
again.
not your favourite. I'm not.
Yeah.
John rips on it, but how did you go on it?
I would say I was probably not as keen as Dayyan to ride this one. It has a huge double concave through the tail of the board, through the back half of the board, and I don't mind a little bit of double concave in my small wave boards, but I don't like huge doubles, and I was pretty confident in that. So I wasn't expecting for this board to jump out and for me to love it. One thing I do know about double concaves, they're normally super fast on like a flat surface. So I rode this board when it was that solid 3 foot day, and I also rode it in 1/2 foot conditions out the front, just thinking that it would have a sweet spot in a certain condition. But I struggled, and like Dayyan, I'm not too keen to ride it again, but we have had, we've had customers that love this board, and I'm not selling, but we've had people say that, it just takes a while to get used to, and it is really different from what I would normally ride.
I would just like to say that some boards take a bit of getting used to, and this is probably one of them.
Dayyan loves this stuff.
I'm not just sitting on the fence, but I've sold it to a few people who are good service. So it's a pretty good board. So.
The OG Flyer by Channel Island Surfboards has a medium entry and exit rocker with soft boxy rails to make rail transitions at low speed more forgiving. On the bottom of the board, there's a single to double concave with V at the exit to loosen things up and help the board roll over from rail to rail easier. The OG Flyer has a straight rail line to maintain drive and a pronounced hip to pull in the tail, making it narrower, creating hold, and helping with rail to rail transitions.
Well, this one, I actually wasn't expecting that much because the wave's 3 to 4 foot. Maybe a little bit overpowered for this board, I thought. But as soon as it took off, it just felt real fun and buttery and real easy to ride. Yeah. If you're coming off the bottom, you can take it anywhere. I reckon there would have been some moments if I stayed out there for a few hours on it, where maybe there was too much power for how kind of wide and loose this board is. But for the few waves that I caught, just felt real free, real loose, really friendly. Friendly board. I like it.
Smooth, fast.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. All right. Similar vibes.
Yeah, similar. But I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised with how much range this board had, or how much hold it had. You know, it's got a super user-friendly rail, really full. I know it's a step down. I rode it 2 inches shorter than I would normally ride, the boards that I'd ride in 3-foot waves. So I was expecting it to really skip out a lot. But I actually found that it had quite a bit of hold. And, in the top 3 boards of the 6 boards that we tested, in regards to the amount of wave range that it would carry. And, sometimes I kind of laugh at the websites when they say it works from, 1 to 5 foot, and I call them out, and they all say that. But, truly I do feel like this one works in 1 to 4 foot waves, and it's just a good all-round board. In saying that, really safe. Doesn't do anything wrong, but I felt like it lacked a little bit of X factor. Some of the other boards, like the Subdriver 3.0, maybe like the Xero Gravity, which we haven't spoken to yet. Even the DHD Nexus had a little bit more of X factor, where I was like, I felt more excited to ride them, where like this board did nothing wrong. But yeah,
so it's trustworthy. Really, it's a good seller. It's been on the market for a bloody long time, and it continues to sell. If people can't get off it because it's an easy board to ride.
The Xero Gravity by JS Industries has a medium entry and exit rocker with a pulled in and thinner tail than the other boards tested, designed to help the board sit in the water more and create hold. The Xero Gravity has a medium rail, but like a lot of JS's models, it has lower rails than many of the other brands, which allows the board to sit in the water more when on rail and creates drive and hold through rail turns on steeper sections. The model has a single to double concave, which helps the board generate speed across flatter sections.
All right, Xero Gravity. After riding this one a number of times and having never ridden this board before, first thing I thought of is this is probably the most all-round board for the waves that we get out the front. If you were to ride one board, or if you only owned one board, this is probably the one that I would put forward as, the ultimate one board quiver. Had heaps of range in it, had heaps of drive. The one I was riding was a 510 29.5 litre stock dims. I would have loved to have had this in a 511, and then I probably wouldn't have been able to fault it. I felt like it felt a little bit small for me, but the board itself and the design of the board had, really great range. It held on its rail, it had enough speed, it was loose enough, responsive enough. Overall, just a perfect all-rounder.
Pleasure to ride. Not.
Yeah, look, this board was really fun. JS, he kind of does real familiar shapes. So a lot of his shapes kind of blend one into the other. And I've ridden a lot of JSs in my time. They all go amazing. And this one felt no different. I felt like some of the little shory connections that I got on it, it just felt real nice and buttery, kind of held in the tight sections. So yeah, it was just nothing that really jumped out about the board, but it just felt real comfortable under my feet.
It's quick. It ticks the boxes. It's fast. You can ride the soaky waves. It's a great seller. It's a really good model. So
the Inferno 72 by Sharpeye Surfboards has a medium nose and tail rocker and a medium single to double concave designed to generate speed in flat sections of the wave. The model has low rails, and with a narrow nose and tail profile, it was the most refined outline of any of the boards in this test.
The Inferno 72, I've actually been riding the Inferno for a couple of years now. So I've got, I think I've had about 4 Infernos. And the one that I tried out for this, I've kept.
You have.
And I really enjoy it.
31.5 though, that was on the smaller side.
Okay, yeah, but they do big boxy runs, so I reckon they surf over the litre.
I agree. I always say add half a litre to all the Sharpeye.
But the Inferno 72 for me was the Catch Brothers concept before. This one, for me, goes the best in the widest variety of waves. This one I can surf on a little 2-foot shory, and I can surf it on a 4-foot wave out the back. I've surfed this in Indo. I've surfed this up the Goldie, surfed the Super Bank on it, and it feels amazing at all. I feel like this is the golden ticket.
Yeah, that's your.
Yeah, this is my golden ticket.
It is.
I love riding this board. Sharp when I want it to be, soft when I want it to be. Lots of release.
Yeah.
It's got everything.
Yeah. You can ride this board in a pretty big range of waves.
Was your 6 foot?
Well, this one.
So a few, but then the latest
I've
one's
had-
6 foot
I've had
31
all
and a half.
different sizes.
6 foot
They've
31 and a half.
been gradually growing.
But yours are often a couple of inches longer than you are in height, right?
Yeah. I ride a 6.0, so I'm 5'9.5", like you said.
On tippy toes.
Yeah, mine are 6.0.
Yeah.
And they feel it, right?
Yeah. J-Lo,
So I have, I have good things to say about this board, but I do disagree that it doesn't have quite the same wave range as what Dayyan is speaking to. So when I first jumped on this board, I actually took it away. I went away to up the coast a few hours, and I loved it. We were surfing this little right shore. I was like, I'd never gone so fast. Then in the waves that we were actually reviewing it in, we had those days when we couldn't make it out the back, and a couple other days in the solid 3-foot range. And I actually found that it was too loose. It felt like it was sitting on top of the water. And this board was the most low volumed of any of the boards that I tried. So most of mine were around 29.5 litres. This one was coming at 28.8. And I felt like it sat on top of the water a little bit too much. And great for generating speed, but I just felt sometimes I couldn't sink its rail as much, and therefore it didn't have the range that some of the other models. No, I'm pretty light-footed.
Is that
there's a difference in the
if anyone's seen my legs, there's not a lot of meat on them, so you could say user error for sure. But ultimately, if you're built like a twig like me, then you might want something that bites a little bit more on rail. But so you've got 90 kgs over here, and you've got 78 over here, having differing views. But ultimately, I love this board. In 1 to 2 foot waves, I felt like it definitely had that X factor. It had more speed than any of the other 5 boards that we rode. I just felt it had its limitations for me. And if I was talking about a 1 board quiver, I think the Xero Gravity, the Subdriver 3 had more range than this one. But if you had multiple boards in your quiver, again, you put this one as, a secondary board that you'd ride as a step down.
So you reckon this Subdriver 3 had more range?
Yeah, definitely.
It had way more.
Did you ride that in small waves as well as those bigger waves?
Well, so when I say more range, I'm probably talking about the
Bigger
upper
size.
scale. Like definitely the Subdriver
right.
3, when I was riding it in 1 foot waves, definitely felt a little bit sticky.
Yeah, the Subdriver 3 for me felt like you could ride that in bigger waves.
Yeah, definitely.
But I didn't
Agree.
feel like I could ride that in 2 foot waves.
Yeah, no, I agree. I reckon 2 foot okay, but yeah, maybe
This
one.
goes right to for that.
Yeah, this one
Because
goes.
it's speed.
This one for me is 1 to 5 foot.
I rode this in 1 foot waves, and it literally just hovers over all the flat sections. It's probably the most performance outline out of all of them. It's the most refined. It's got a lower rail, super pulled in the nose and tail, and I was so surprised to see how much
What
it
is
just
it?
hovered
Are they
over.
super flat? Is that what?
Look at the deep concave. You've
Yeah.
got more thickness in the middle, more rolled, and the deepest concave.
I actually don't know what it is. I was so surprised at how well it floats over flat sections. That we should know that since we're doing a review on it. But there's some little hidden magic in this that just makes it float over flat sections.
Concave rocker thickness.
Hang on. I need to say something about subscribing.
It's so good. And then I'll go with the good call. That's a wrap for the step down beach break variety board. But guess what? If you guys like this channel, press the like button. And guess what? We're going to do a really good review on proper waves. We're even going to get out of our beloved Manly, get in our cars, go driving, and try to find some sick waves, because we're going to do a review on good wave boards, boys. So that's going to be exciting.
Hit subscribe.
Let's subscribe.
And get $50 off your next board.
For sure. Just get aboard.